welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Health. My name is Chinomso Amadi, and today I have something interesting lined up for parents watching, and I hope one or two things from today's episode will encourage you. I wouldn't want to spill the beans right away. Let's take a break, and when we get back, the show continues to stay. Welcome back. Now time for us to get fit. Get into your fitness kits as we join Instructor White for the day's dose of fitness.
Say you must marry me. You go love me. You go kill me, baby. You go follow me. You're my remedy. You're my melody. You be been and money. You go give me. Baby, Palanga. I will show you love that you never see. Palanga, you're the mother of my two baby. Baby, Palanga. And if we like, we make a baby. Baby, Palanga, I will love you forever. Oh, nah, Duro, baby, shake me, shake you. Duro, baby, shake me, shake you. Baby, Duro, baby, shake me, shake you. DJ, big number one DJ on the wheels and steel. Shh, don't touch the dial, you know. Auntie, where you come and deliver? Got deliver. It's me now. Come and deliver. You got deliver. Auntie, they give me liver. Auntie, come and deliver. If you got deliver, come and deliver. If you got deliver, it's me now.
Well, I hope you partook in that and you're quite fit for the day. Now it's time for the segment with our medical personnel. Alright, the program is Let's Talk Health. If you're just joining us, this is the interview segment, and today we're going to be looking at autism. Of course, we know that children with autism are those children who have special needs. Now, if you know a child who has autism or your child has autism, just stay tuned today, and I bet you're going to learn one or two things from our doctor in the house, talking about Dr. Doris Izuwa. She's a medical doctor and an autism specialist. Thank you for joining me, ma.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Now we're talking about autism. Like I told our viewers, if they have kids with autism or they know a child with autism, of course they should listen. So I bet they want to learn a whole lot today. But first of all, what is autism? How does it come about?
Autism is a developmental disability that affects a child's ability to speak, interact with his or her environment, and also relate with other people.
Okay. How common is this autism?
Autism is quite common. We don't really have Nigerian statistics, but it's in about 1 in 68 children now.
Wow.
And it's alarming. It's epidemiologically, it's been growing exponentially. Before, in the past 4 years, it was like 1 in 150 people, 50 children. So because of better diagnosis, and a lot of children are being diagnosed now, and better facilities now, many people, even the older ones, they were misdiagnosed, are now having the diagnosis of autism.
Okay, so how does it come about? How does a child develop autism? Is the child born with it, or it's due to something that the mother must have taken during pregnancy? How does it come about?
There is no known cause of autism, but
Really?
we have, yes, there is no known cause, but we have a lot of postulations and a lot of predisposing factors.
Okay.
The first one, for the first question, most children were not born with autism, but they might have the genetic predisposition. And then with that genetic predisposition, a lot of things have been said to now put the child into autism.
Okay.
Number one being heavy metal toxicity. Like example, if the mother has a dental amalgam in the tooth,
Okay.
and these dental amalgams, or that's to replace one or two of their teeth,
Okay.
could contain mercury.
Okay.
So heavy metal toxicity like mercury, lead, aluminium, cadmium. We also have excessive use of antibiotics
Okay.
in infancy. We also have infections, bacterial, fungal, viral infections, and then we have other environmental toxicants like even using a lot of fertilizers, chemicals in the environment as well can
Okay.
predispose a child into having autism. Then some of our children find it very difficult. We have gut issues like intestinal issues. They're not
okay.
able to metabolize certain foods. They're not able to, their system is not just working properly compared to others. So we now have this genetic predisposition from them with things in their environment is said to have predisposed a child into having autism.
Okay. Is vaccine in any way a contributing factor?
It's quite controversial.
Okay.
In the 70s, 80s, they said vaccines, especially MMR, can cause autism in children, and they also said we have a preservative called thimerosal, which has mercury in it. It's used to preserve vaccines, especially multi-dosed vaccine.
Okay.
So they said it can predispose a child into having autism. But a lot of research has been done, and it's the postulations and the theory has been disbanded that it doesn't cause autism.
Okay.
And we should also remember we're in a third world country where vaccines are very important for our children, so we don't die from all these vaccine preventable diseases.
Yeah.
So we encourage our children to take vaccines, but make sure
vaccinate
they are
them.
healthy before they do that.
Oh, okay. Now you mentioned that in all cases that someone is not born with autism.
Most children are not born
Most
with it.
children
In
are
fact,
not
most of them develop very well, no problems, till they get maybe 1.5 2 years before parents now notice that something
So
is
what are those
quite wrong.
signs that parents have to look out for? What are those things that the child starts displaying?
Like we have the early warning signs, the what we call the red flags. Like at the age of 6 months, a child should be interacting with the parents. When you see your mother coming,
Yeah, be
you should at least
excited.
excited and raise your hands. But in this situation, the child might be indifferent
Wow.
and appear. You said, "Oh, this child is a very good child. He's independent. He's not crying. He doesn't even want to seek for my attention." That is wrong.
Okay.
Then we also have by the age of 1 month, 1 year, the child should be, at least by that 6 months, the child should be cooing and blabbing. By 1 year, the child should have at least one word.
Yeah.
Should say mama,
Dada,
dada,
yeah.
vocalizes
Yeah.
very well. The child should be able to say bye bye, or even to understand interaction with other people, the environment,
Yeah.
seek for things to play with, seek for people to go to. And then by the age of 2 years, every child should be talking. At least 2 words in a sentence, should have up to 100 words, should be able to play with other children, at least acknowledge other children.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be aloof, indifferent in their own world, doing their own things. Shouldn't be attached to a particular object,
Yeah.
screaming for no reason, shouting for no reason, laughing for no reason. So these are should be able to play with his environment, understand peekaboo and laugh. So when you see our children not developing like this normally, around this 1.5, 2 years, 3 years, it means that we
problem,
have
yeah.
red
Something is
flags,
wrong, yeah.
and the child should be further assessed.
Okay. Now you mentioned early warning signs. What
These
are
are
the later?
Warning signs.
Yeah.
Okay, the later warning signs are what I will call the clinical features, the symptoms of autism, because autism is not medically diagnosed. It has to be with the features that would diagnose and make a child to be diagnosed or be put into the autism spectrum disorders.
Okay.
And those things are: number one, we have problems with communication, speech problems, and under it we have the child not talking at all, what we call non-verbal, or the child might have some speech, might be communicating but inappropriately.
Okay.
Examples, we have echolalia. When you said how do you do, they would reply the same thing. They
Yeah.
script out things they have heard from the television or from
Okay.
people. They respond, they just say the same thing you've said to them.
They repeat it.
Yes, they repeat it. They might have pronoun reversal, like instead of saying I want water, they'll say you want water. Just because you ask
Wow.
them, do you want water? They say you
Yes.
want water. Instead of telling you what they need, they might use your hand to go and point at those things instead of communicating verbally. Also, they don't understand, even those that have speech. You said, oh, my child is talking, but as they're growing older, they might not understand idioms, syntax, grammar, and they might not know how to joke. If you say it's raining cat or dog, Miss Montana 2012, she has autism. She said the father told her that it was raining cat and dog. She actually ran with a basket
To go catch
outside
the cat
to go
and
and
dog.
catch, because she would say she was feeling so sad that the cat would fall
Wow.
and die. So she was looking for the cat and the dog to fall from the sky. I mean, they have literal thinking.
Yeah.
They don't really understand the deeper meaning of words, and that is for speech. Then the second one is social interaction. In terms of social interaction, both of us are communicating, we're understanding each other. I'm looking into your eyes. They don't understand eye contact. They might prefer to look elsewhere than look
and someone
into
is
your
talking to
eyes.
them.
Yes.
So they're quite withdrawn.
Yes, they can be withdrawn, aloof,
Yeah.
indifferent. You, by the age of 2, 3 years, you would have noticed this. When they go to parties, you see this lone child playing on his own,
yeah.
not interacting with anybody. Even though the adolescents, they might
But is it
wa-
in all cases? Like when the
In
child
most
is
cases.
quiet and wants to be on his own, is it in all
No,
cases?
no. That's why I'm saying number 1, 2, 3. The symptoms must cut across these 3 places:
Okay.
the social interaction, the communication, and behavior.
Okay.
Okay, so if a child is an introvert and just sitting on his own, but is speaking very well,
Oh,
it's not
yes.
autism. Can
Okay.
communicate very well, play very well. It's not autism.
This is quite a huge challenge. Now, before we get to the parents, how do these kids, how are they supposed to cope in schools when they get to schools? How are they supposed to be handled, to accommodate them and make them, learn at the end of the day?
It all depends on early intervention and severity of the autism spectrum disorder. We have mild, moderate, severe. For Early intervention usually less than 3 years, but that doesn't mean that it can't intervene at any age.
Okay.
So many people start early, 1.5, 2 years. They have already placed the child on therapy. Then, if it's a mild case, they can attend, they can sit, they can listen, they can go into a regular school. And then inside regular schools, it's important, first of all, to have them diagnosed. Has this child been diagnosed? Is it just attention disorder? Is it just dyslexia? Is it just autism? It's important to have a proper diagnosis, and the specialists will tell you what to do for your child.
Okay.
Then let's start from the school setting, like you asked me. Inside the school, they should have at least more than 2 teachers inside that class, because some of our children are quite exuberant.
handful, yeah.
That's the word I will use, exuberant. And 1 or 2 teachers to maybe 15 children
Okay.
is not
Not
enough.
Yeah.
They need a special attention. For the mild ones, they can sit, but better to sit near the teacher who can always control him or her,
Yeah.
tell him or her to sit, and personalize instructions to her or him. Because if you say everybody stand up, I mean, my name is not everybody. So you have to say, Tolu, stand up.
Yeah.
Okay, Tolu, right. You have to encourage the child to respond in class, give extra lessons, pay extra attention.
Yeah.
And if you notice this child has sensory issues, once in a while, it's good to give a time up to just unwind or load. Because if the sensation is too much, all the children making noise at the same time, it might overwhelm the child and he or she might start screaming. So for the mild ones, you can actually handle in a regular school setting. But for the moderate severe ones, it might be in a center, specialized center, who will now teach these children, toilet train them, teach them how to speak, help them with their behavioral issues, help desensitize them from their sensory dysfunctions, and then make them ready to go to school. Teach them instructional controls, teach them how to sit, how to concentrate, how to pay attention, how to write. And if they're able to attend, because some of them may be reading and they're looking somewhere else. I mean, what is the person going to do in school if you cannot attend? That's the mistake
So they
most
need
parents.
very, very patient
Yes, you need
teachers.
to be very patient. You need to be loving. You need to be calm. Because they can actually, the patience can wear off.
wear off.
You yourself need to unwind. And then at home, the parents should
Yeah, I was going to come to that. How
Okay.
do parents get to handle these kids now? Because most times it can be very frustrating when you say,
It is.
I'm trying to make this kid do this, and this kid is not obliging. How do they get to cope?
It's the therapy should be both ways,
Okay.
for the child and for the parents. And for the child, what are you doing? In whatever you're doing, your child should be in either in a school setting or in a center-based setting.
Okay.
If it's moderate severe and the child has never had any form of therapy, it should be center-based. So you need to take the child to the center depending on the number of hours the child is doing there. And after therapy, you should ask for assignments or things from the center on what to do to help your child at home. The mistake a lot of we parents do is that because this child is a special needs child, we want to cuckoodle him somewhere. We don't
Yeah.
want him to do anything. For goodness sake, he's first and foremost a human being. So you should teach him to do the regular
things,
house
yeah.
chores appropriate for age. If he or she cannot do it, use his hands and prompt him or help him to do it. Wearing of pants, pants down, toilet training, tidying up after scattering everywhere, asking for things. Even if he cannot speak, you can use his hand to go and say water, and then give him water. You should involve the child in what is happening at home, because if you don't, it means that everything is being done for him. He will have no reason to socialize. He will have no reason to talk. For example, madam, if I scream and cake appears, I scream again, ice cream. Madam, do you think I'll ever talk?
Definitely
No, even as I am, I'll
keep
keep on
screaming.
screaming for those good things.
Yeah.
And once I scream, everybody will start paying me attention. Another thing, parents should recognize when their child is doing something good and praise the child. They call it
Yeah.
reinforcement.
Okay.
So for every good deed the child does, you need to pay the child by thanking him and giving him something that make him happy.
Yeah.
Madam, if you come to work every day and I don't pay you at the end of the month, you will stop coming.
Of course.
So another mistake we make is most of us parents, when our child is behaving very well, we don't give them attention. But once they scream, everybody come rushing.
You pay
Ah,
attention
why are
by
you
force.
screaming? You're
Yeah.
disturbing us. What will I do? Oh, I'm so happy they have come. So, our children are so
So next time
special.
you want to scream
Oh
again
my
for
God,
attention.
our children are so smart. So
Yeah.
they do that. Some of them will scream, ah, they'll look around to see who is coming. Oh, is daddy's turn to come. So it's so funny when you see our children. So sometimes when you notice that when they scream, you're on your own. But when they are quiet and they're doing, so long as there's something
Yes.
harming them
Yeah.
and they're doing very well, you say, oh, so good, you're quiet. I love that.
Encourage
You
them.
encourage, give them a hug.
Yeah.
So encouragement, love is very good, but you have to be very firm. You can't allow your child to be running around and screaming. I said, oh, I'm tired. You have to get him to sit. But before you give that command at home, you should have at least 30 minutes, 1 hour to enforce that command. You can't say, sit down, and the child will be running around. Sit down, the child will be running. Sit down! And then the child says, okay, yeah, now she's ready. And then the child goes and sits and jumps away and jumps out of the chair. He said, oh, I'm so busy, I have to go to work. In fact, if you want to sit, I don't mind. I'll go to work. Next time when you give command, the child will take it for granted.
of course.
But if I'm going to tell you to sit, and I'll make sure you sit, and I'll sit by your side and make sure you sit, with time the child will know, oh, this mom,
she says it, she
she's
means
a
it.
super mom. She
Yeah.
means it. She's not gonna quit. I better sit. So it's very, very important. So perseverance, love, care, making sure they do what they ought to do at home. Teaching them, even if it's the alphabet number, should create at least 1 hour a day, 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day can go a long way in helping your child at home. Don't leave it to the therapist to do.
Alone,
Don't leave
yeah.
it to the school to do. No, it's quite difficult like that.
Okay, now very quickly, when these kids grow up, how do they perform? Like with constant therapy, do they tend to get over it, or do they tend to what happens when they grow into adulthood? Do
Okay.
they still exhibit the same behaviors and?
All right. It's difficult to say, but I must tell you, I've not seen a child with autism that grew into an adult functional without any form of therapy.
Okay.
So for those that would say, oh, he'll outgrow it, oh, he will talk at 20 years because daddy talked at 40, I've not seen it happen.
Okay, so there has to be therapy.
Is very important. But if you start, because also depending on the severity, those that are mild, moderate, with consistent therapy, they grow up to be functional adolescents, functional adults. I've seen a lot in secondary school doing very well
Yeah.
without therapy now, but maybe extra help in areas they have deficiencies. If it's academics, you get them a lesson teacher, and home you keep on reinforcing and keep on making sure they learn what they ought to do. Learn how to wash, it's over time. How to wash their clothing, how to iron their clothing, how to cook. In fact, I was opportune. I was so excited to see an adult with autism 20 years. And he was driving.
Wow.
He actually drove to give me a document.
Wow.
And he was able to tell me everything. He was telling me, oh, I prefer to be on my own sometimes. I don't really like crowd. That's just the way I am. I was so excited. So you see, we have success stories of children, though not cured, but have been recovered. And he's going to university on his own, went to boarding school. So, but all these things, we don't just have them automatically.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
what we have
process.
done, a process
Yeah.
over the years, from the time they were school age children, adolescents. So you don't, just like you give care to every other child you have in the house, you just need extra care for them, but you never give up hope. You
Right.
never let it rest.
Well, very, very quickly, finally, before I let you go, just in 1 second, your encouragement to parents out there. Just in 1 second, what would you tell them?
Never say never.
Wow.
That's my slogan. I
Yeah.
don't believe in never. No matter how difficult it might seem, there's always hope somewhere. So you
course.
don't ever
Don't
give up hope. Never.
That's a strong one coming from Dr. Doris. Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. I bet parents must have learned one thing today. If you have kids with autism, I bet you would have known right now. Probably you told us signs to look out for if your kid has autism, or there are the signs that you look out for to make sure that, okay, there's something I need to do, there's something I need to start doing. Probably you must have learned something today and you must have been encouraged. Well, that's it for the segment on the show, and the show continues just right after now. To stay. Parents, I hope hope you've gotten a word or two on how best to handle the situation if you have a kid with autism. Well, that's the size of our package today. Do remember to send in your questions and contributions to our social media handles at TalkHealthPTV on Twitter, at facebook.com/Let's Talk Health on Facebook, or a mail to our box at letstalkhealthptv@gmail.com, or better still, an SMS to the mobile number on your screen. Now, till I come your way next time, I am Chinomso Amadi saying, stay healthy and stay alive.